Welcome to Founder Rising, the podcast for women founders in wellness coaching and consulting who are ready to build businesses that create freedom, impact, and income. I'm your host, Christine Hakkola, business coach, former psychotherapist, and mentor to women scaling service-based businesses. Lynn, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Christine. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you and hear more about what you do and what you're building in your business. But let's rewind because you've been at this for a while. Can you say a little bit about what you do and how you got started in your own business?
Yes, of course. So as you mentioned, I'm an executive coach and I specialize with leaders who are at significant inflection points in their careers, primarily in the C-suite, but also high potential leaders. Examples would be new CEOs, new members to a C-suite situation, executives who are in the process of transitioning away from corporate America or from their roles as principals of their firms. Those who are moving into new positions, et cetera, et cetera. My real specialty is on significant transition. And then I also work with leadership teams of those CEOs or C-suite members to develop leadership architectures that position them for peak performance
Very cool.
as a leadership team that is enterprise focused.
Yeah. So this is a really specific niche, Lynn. How did you get into this in the first place?
Well, I spent 25 years in corporate America.
Okay, so you were exposed to it firsthand.
Yes, the last 15 years I was in various operating roles in the C-suite that involved the leadership of big transformative change. So, for example, leading integrations, downsizings, turnarounds, significant growth opportunities, etc. And I grew to really enjoy and be stimulated by the whole art and science of leading transformative change. I still am today. I consider myself a student.
Yes.
Still,
I feel like the best service providers always do.
I do. You keep learning for sure. Every assignment I have, I obviously learn a lot, and I value that learning. And that's what I do. And I love my work. I've had a lot of board experience, to include chairing boards, for-profit, not-for-profit, public, private.
Fantastic. It's so clear to me how you came by the skill and the experience of doing the work that you do. What I want to hear more about is what prompted the shift. And I know this is a while back now because you've been at this for 20 years, but what prompted the shift from corporate America into your own business?
What prompted the shift was a big inflection point in the last role that I had, where I was leading the spinoff of 4 divisions of a $20 billion conglomerate to publicly held companies. We ended up selling one of those divisions and we spun off the other 3, which was a massive, massive project that lasted a couple of years. And at the end of all of that, I realized that this was a culmination of so much time I had spent as an operating executive leading transformative initiatives, and I decided that I wanted to go to the other side of the table and show others how to do it. I've always been a coach and mentor. I was always a coach and mentor in my work in corporate America. I believe very strongly in the strategic investment into particularly leadership team members and high potential leaders. I made it a point to surround myself with leaders who had the potential to do circles around me.
I love that.
Which was part of my secret sauce as a leader.
Like how you grew so quickly and learned so much.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
fantastic. So
And
many, oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
no, not at all. So I just knew it was time, Christine. I knew it was time. I knew that I wanted to do this, and I had a lot to bring to the fore.
Yes, yeah. So you had the calling, and like so many women that I speak to, who decide to build their own businesses, the primary driver with respect to the service itself is they have a passion, they have a skill set for it, like they go into it because they just have this inner knowing that this is, aligned with the work they're meant to do in the world. And my understanding from speaking with thousands of women is that why being self-employed and entrepreneur speaks to them is because they can do that work in the way they want. We get the time, freedom of being an entrepreneur. We're not bound to a 9 to 5 job. But what a lot of women don't realize is everything that goes into growing your own business. Talk
Yeah.
to us about some of those early days, the first few years. What were some of the things that you encountered as a business owner that you were either surprised by or hadn't anticipated?
Well, let's see. First, I would say I had to stand this entity up, right?
Yes.
So I was laser focused on business development, and I turned to my network and all of the people that I knew and cared about in corporate America and otherwise at that point in my life. And I was able to garner, I don't know, maybe 6 assignments at the outset, coaching assignments at the outset.
Fantastic. Just
Yeah.
through like high trust word of mouth referrals.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
exactly,
Uh-huh.
exactly. And I built a website
Yeah.
to include um, testimonials, which is very important for those of you who are thinking about how to build your brand.
Yeah.
The I also realized very quickly that I needed to really zero in on my ICP and got very focused on that. I got very focused on a methodology
Yeah.
that I still use today, that I've enhanced over the years, that has 2 phases to it. One is a discovery process where we go deep with
Perfect.
regard to a leader's strengths, weaknesses, values, leadership traits, communication skills and competencies, that kind of thing. And the second phase involves building a purpose-driven development plan.
Perfect.
Most,
You're naming all of the things that, and I'm nodding along here, like yes, yes, it makes so much sense why you were able to stand your business up so quickly. Like you did all the right things. These are the things I talk about with women leaders who are early on in their journey, is getting clear about your offer, right? And you went so far as to develop this two-pronged methodology, and
yes,
you leveraged your warm referral network. You leaned into relationships where people knew you and trusted you, and you got
that's right.
super clear about who you were serving.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And I even now, right now,
Yeah.
as we speak, I'm taking a step back.
Okay,
And
I want to get there. Can you?
of course,
I'm so excited to hear about where you're headed next. But what I recognize and what I want to tap into with you, Lynn, is you've been at this for almost 20 years, and I recognize that those early days is where a lot of our listeners are. But there's so much I
yeah,
know that comes after that. So earlier on, you identified your ICP, you got clear on your methodology and your offer, you leveraged your warm network. But what happened in the few years that happened all the way until now? Like, what were some of the bigger challenges, turning points, lessons learned as you continue to grow your business beyond those early days?
well, one thing that I learned early on, maybe in the first 6 to 12 months of the
Uh-huh.
coaching I was doing,
Yeah.
was how prevalent imposter syndrome is.
Ah, okay.
And to fast forward today, I build into the discovery process probing for the presence of
Yeah.
imposter syndrome. 70% of men and women leaders
Yeah.
suffer from imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
which, as you know, is the sense that you really are not worthy of
Mm.
accolades, of expansions and responsibilities, of recognition in whatever form, and moreover, you worry that you're going to be discovered as a fraud. And that really holds leaders back
Yeah.
in terms of signing up for big, audacious projects,
Right.
going for expansions of responsibility, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, as part of the discovery process today, I realized again within the first 6 to 12 months that syndrome was really a problem for
Yeah.
leaders,
Yeah.
really a problem.
Lynn, I have to ask, in your experience, does imposter syndrome affect men or women equally, or one more than the other?
Most people think it affects women more than men.
Yeah.
My experience has been that it affects both.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
have a couple of male clients right now who have acknowledged their own imposter syndrome and with whom I'm working through that issue to overcome.
Yeah. I can imagine, and this, I'm telling myself this story, and I want to hear your thoughts on it, that in corporate America, this is probably not an easy thing for folks to talk about. I imagine that it's something vulnerable that maybe, some folks try to hide because it's a hard thing, or maybe they're not even aware of it themselves. How did you stumble upon this, and how do you get people to talk about this thing that's so hard to talk about and name?
Well, number one, I like to believe that I can enlist the trust of prospects and clients very quickly.
Yeah.
So, as I'm sure you know, in the work that I do, trust is the critical factor around which you grow a relationship. And you really want to get to the point with a client where that client is comfortable talking about, frankly, almost anything
Yeah.
with you. So trust is extremely important. The One of the exercises that we go through at the outset of a relationship is something called a strengths report card, where we go very deep on a leader's strengths and a leader's weaknesses,
Yeah.
to the point we write it down. We I interview them extensively, strength by strength, weakness by weakness, and we write it down. So we really end up with a strengths report card that's very substantive.
So it gives you kind of a natural entry point, just building
That's
that
right.
relationship, but also
That's
doing a
right.
real deep analysis,
That's right.
and you can talk
And
about it from there.
that's where this whole issue of imposter syndrome started showing up.
Okay,
Started
interesting.
showing up, and I was attuned to it, and one thing led to another. I've done a lot of writing about it and speaking about it and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's a real affliction.
How did this change your work? Like, I'm imagining how your services might have been when you started it off, like those first six clients. Like, as you learned more about the struggles that the leaders were experiencing, and as you got even more skillful and refined at how you supported them, how did that change, like your business model, your offerings, like how you operated the business?
You mean the discovery of imposter syndrome? What
Yeah,
was
like
this?
as you discovered this and other things along the way, like how did that change how you showed up in your business, your offers, your services?
Well, first of all, I can say that one of the first things that I look for in a relationship is the presence of imposter syndrome, lack of confidence,
Yeah.
hesitation to raise one's hand and go for a big challenging assignment, that kind of thing, which then leads me to a conclusion that a leader may suffer from imposter syndrome. And so it's the first thing that almost the first thing that I probe for,
Yeah, you
because
don't
it's
you
such
don't
a
wait
blocker.
anymore. You just like that may be there for a lot of folks you serve, and you
Seventy
just get there
percent of
faster.
leaders,
It's
70% of
incredible.
leaders.
It's
It's a
incredible.
huge blocker, Christine. It's a
Yeah, I
huge
believe it.
blocker.
I believe it. Before we keep going, I want to say something. If you're listening to this and thinking, oh, I'm in that season right now, I'd love to talk to you. Founder Rising isn't about polished success stories. It's about real growth. The hiring decisions, the revenue plateaus, the identity shifts that happen when your business starts stretching you. If you're building something meaningful in wellness, coaching, or consulting, and you're willing to have an honest conversation about what scaling actually looks like, apply to be a guest. The link's in the show notes. I'd love to meet you. Okay, back to the episode. So speaking of blockers, what were the things that you came across and have come across like in your 20 years of being an entrepreneur that were difficult business challenges for you to solve? Like, did you have issues getting clients, or have you had issues around hiring or systems? Like, what have been the difficult things about building your business?
Well, I would say, first of all, I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it's very challenging to source new clients. 80%
Yeah.
of my clients come through referrals. They
Yeah.
come through
That makes sense.
visibility that I get with exercises like
Yes.
this.
Yes.
And it's been a wonderful source of new business. That said, I am in the process of really trying to strengthen my ability right now to build to build name recognition and my reputation as a thought leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one of the big challenges that I face with clients, particularly at senior levels and when I'm working with leadership teams, is the presence of toxic work cultures. So situations where fellow colleagues have their own agendas
Yeah. That must
in
be tricky.
place first and foremost.
Yeah.
And where the needs of the organization are not first and foremost. And that creates very political environments, which I lived and breathed growing up in corporate America for 25 years and
Yeah.
navigated
Danger.
for a very long time. So it is a very big challenge for many, many leaders. I would say the majority of leaders, not all leaders.
Right.
And interestingly enough, I've discovered over the years that in entrepreneurial situations, the presence of toxic cultures is really much lower. There's
Well, that's
much
good to hear.
more transparency, there's much more mutual support, there's much more willingness to be humble, be vulnerable,
What do you
that kind
think's
of thing.
contributed to that shift? I mean, I'm pleased to hear it, and I also get curious about how did that happen?
Well, I think in larger organizations, almost by definition, a bureaucracy is created, right? In larger organizations. And there exists in larger organizations a lot of uncertainty, if not clarity, around the roles of different individuals
Yeah.
and assumptions that get made around the roles of different individuals, particularly individuals perhaps who may be in similar roles as you might be. And it makes for really an uncomfortable competitive situation a lot of times.
Yeah. But do you feel that nowadays that's happening less?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not
All right.
necessarily. Because in large organizations, Christine,
Yeah.
the issues around role clarity and around priority clarity, strategic priority clarity, are usually pretty significant. Usually
Yeah,
pretty
it
significant.
makes sense. It makes sense. Circling back, you mentioned a few minutes ago that one of the biggest challenges that you've had is just getting clients and growing that pipeline. And I have a two-pronged question here, so I'll ask them one at a time. We spoke before we started recording about additional offerings that you're creating. You've mostly done one-on-one work, and now you're expanding. First, say a little bit about what it is that you're building.
Well, through GCA Solutions, which is part of my organization, Great Circle Associates, I'm going to be offering immersive leadership development experiences targeted to high potential women leaders that includes group coaching and peer-to-peer mentoring, which I will facilitate. And it's
That's so
about to go
exciting.
live as we speak, as we about to go
Oh,
live as we speak.
it'll be live by the time this episode airs.
There you go. There
That's
you
so
go.
exciting.
My first course is on how to build very high functioning, cross functional leadership teams. And
That's
it's
fantastic.
six 1 hour sessions
Yeah.
that that folks will sign up for, and we'll go deep into everything from challenges to lessons learned to best practices as it relates to building very high performing cross functional teams.
Yeah. That's so exciting. I'm so glad to hear, about that work coming into the world, and so excited for all the folks that that's going to touch. As we spoke about earlier, and as I come across in my work with service providers growing and scaling their businesses, one of the difficult issues often is, either getting clients or when we shift the offer, the marketing needs to change. And as you mentioned, a lot of your early clients came through word of mouth referrals, leveraging your network. Some service providers, build a successful one-on-one practice through that alone and don't need a lot of other channels. Most, if not all, service providers, when they start to build other offerings, so whether it's a program or a course or a community, right, or something like you're building, suddenly realize that leveraging the warm network isn't enough and that more needs to happen. Talk to us a little bit, both historically and today, about what has worked for you besides leveraging your one-on-one network, and what hasn't, and where are you getting stuck?
Well, what's working for me is already a lot of the work that I do, Christine, to build name recognition and awareness of me.
Yeah.
So, for
Which is,
example,
yeah, tell us.
I'm on social media all the time with
Mhm.
posts about leadership lessons.
Yeah. So just providing
I,
value, educating, being
yes,
helpful. Uh-huh. Yeah.
yes, I
Yeah.
offer, I get featured in a lot of magazine articles. My work
Amazing.
is featured in a lot of magazine
Yeah.
articles
How do you,
that
if you don't mind saying, like, how do you do that? Like, people I'm imagining are listening going,
approached
how did she
by,
get featured in a magazine?
I get approached by primarily publications that are focused on leadership.
Yeah. And how do they find out about you?
Online, they
Okay.
find out
Do you
about me
think
on
that's a
social
result of
media.
your posting online?
No question, it
Well
is.
done. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's been a very rich, becoming an increasingly rich source of prospects
That's amazing.
for me.
Uh-huh.
And of course, once these articles are published, it's then followed by a lot of social media clips that I do and
Yeah.
that
So you
kind
just
of
get
thing.
exposure that way.
And I get exposure. And finally, I'm making plans to start my own podcast.
Ah, congratulations. That's so exciting.
Yes,
You'll have to let us know when it's live.
I will. I
All right.
will. I'm
So,
in
so
the early
visibility.
stages of it,
Yeah.
but I think I'm going to focus on the what it's like to transition into a new role and all of the challenges and
Well, that makes
opportunities,
so much sense.
and lessons learned, and that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, you're going to have no lack of folks to interview from your extensive network and from all the folks that are hearing about you. So let's talk about challenges. Usually I speak with entrepreneurs who have found somewhere between 1 and 3 sources for marketing, for visibility, where their clients come through. But sometimes when we need to grow beyond that, we get a little bit blocked. What are things you've tried that haven't worked, or where do you feel like the biggest challenges are going to come in the next few months, next year or so?
Well, one big challenge, although I think of it more like an opportunity, is of course the arrival of AI, which I'm
Hmm.
on every single day
Yeah.
and use it for a variety of reasons, from
Yeah.
planning to analysis to content creation
Yeah.
to marketing, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Making it a lot easier to produce that.
And so I've really introduced now into the learning experience
Hmm.
to clients a lot of emphasis on how to use AI,
Yeah. Yeah.
how to use AI to elevate your presence and
Hmm.
impact as a
Hmm.
leader.
Yeah.
and that it's at once a challenge and an opportunity. I have to say that my mantra, Christine, is once a client, always a friend.
Oh, I love that.
I really, I can't say that I've had much in the way of challenges in the actual experience of coaching or providing strategic advisory
Fantastic.
support to leadership teams. The as we were saying before, this issue of political toxic environments is a big one that we've got to work through. Imposter syndrome is another big one that we have to work through. And that's, of course, related to self-confidence issues, that kind of thing, a reliance on perfectionism. Those are some of the examples of challenges in the act of actually coaching and coaching individuals and nurturing leadership teams.
Yeah, yeah. And what about your business, especially as you look into the future? You're about to launch this new offering. I know you haven't like lived it yet, but when you look into the future, what are you anticipating being either a challenge or just your next growing edge?
My next growing edge, well, I think that, first of all, coaching, executive coaching is going to be increasingly, I'm not going to say replaced, but supported by technology.
I like the
No,
word supported. I often hear and I'm seeing how it's replacing some of the redundancy and repetitiveness that actually many folks are relieved to be able to offload that so that we can step up into a higher level strategic thinking role.
exactly right. I think of AI as my thought partner.
Yes, I think of it the same way.
And I teach clients how to do the same.
Yeah,
How to do the same. So the future is increasingly in the use of AI
yeah.
throughout the coaching experience. And I have to admit, I myself am on a learning curve right
Yeah.
now.
Would you say that that's the piece kind of most on your mind as you think about continuing to grow your business and launch your new offer is just questions around, how do I navigate the use of AI in my business and how will AI, how will I be in relationship with AI in the future?
Well, yes, that's one big one. Another big one is around the question of the future leaders and
Say
the
more.
younger generation that's coming behind. And I have a real, as I alluded to, I have a real passion and have for many, many years been involved with organizations that support the growth of women in business in some way.
Yeah.
And it's I'm also very, very involved in figuring out how the world can produce a greater number of excellent change makers. There are not, 30% of change initiatives fail.
Wow. Yeah.
And and most organizations are going through some kind of, at least one big change initiative every year now.
Wow. Wow.
Every year
That's a
now.
big issue for you to
Yeah.
tackle and solve.
And there are not enough leaders who really know their way around how to lead enduring transformational change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there needs to be more. So I have a theory that this is an opportunity to fill in the gaps for women, where, as you know, the advancement of women typically stops when they're managers, and that is, so I have a special, I'm always spending time with, call it 4 to 5 younger, up and coming leaders who are smart, who are inspired,
Yeah.
who really want to improve, who are not afraid to show their vulnerabilities, who are curious, and I I coach and mentor them at a significantly reduced fee, and every once in a while, sometimes for free, because I'm so inspired by their potential.
Yeah, well, I so appreciate the work you're doing in the world, Lynn. And, just to name, I'm sure it's going to sound obvious, you have your work cut out for you. That's for sure. If you could name one thing that you're most excited about as you look into the future, what would it be?
It's the opportunity, for me personally, it's the opportunity to make an increasingly big difference in leadership and to help leaders and high potential leaders to exceed not only their own expectations, but the expectations of key stakeholders internally and externally.
Isn't that fantastic? Thank you so much. And I imagine there's folks listening here who want to learn more about you and the work you do. How do they get in touch?
There are a few ways. They can email me at Lin, L-I-N, Coughlin, Coughlin, at greatcircleassociates.com.
Fantastic.
They can go on my website at www.greatcircleassociates.com, and they can call me at 646-660-1787.
The old-fashioned telephone. I love it. Thank you so much, Lynn.
Call me. I've actually had
I
people
believe it. I believe it. Like, I miss those days. I still call my friends sometimes, believe it or not.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for sharing your wisdom. It was lovely to have you.
You're welcome, and thank you, Christine. It was a pleasure to join you.
Thank you, listener, for tuning in to FoundHer Rising. If today's episode resonated with you, follow the show, share it with another founder, and leave a quick review. It helps more women find these conversations. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or learn more at HakkolaHorizons.com. Until next time, keep rising and keep building the business that gives you freedom to live, lead, and create on your terms.